questions you have. That way you can speak your quiz. So most of what I saw for these, you all had majority right answers. There were some mistakes I had to fix. Make sure I see that you put all of this in, whether that's parentheses or dots, however. Usually parentheses will be better because then you don't have a bunch of symbols everywhere. However you multiply this, in the calculator by hand, either or. So this would give you 10 minus 6 plus 18 plus 9. 10 minus 6 would give you 4. 18 plus 9 would give you 7. Leave those in absolute value bars until you get here. Once you realize that you don't have to change them, then you can drop them, and you should have gotten 31. So all of you that got that, you can pat yourself in the back. Questions about that one? 14. Again, make sure I see that you put in everything where everything was. Actually multiply what's inside here. Some of you may have done all of this at the same time. Some of you did it separately. Either way was fine. So like I went ahead and I did this at the same time I did these. I was skipping ahead. And then actually take the cube root of 36 to get 6, divide to get 9, take the cube root of that to get negative 6, and then add them together and you should have gotten 9. So those of you that got 9, pat yourselves on the back, good job. Right, did we have questions on 13 or 14? Okay. And then number 2, what answers did we come up with for number 2? Christian, did you want to share yours? Just say, it's okay if it's right or wrong, we're going to compare. Anyone want to be bold enough to share their answer in about -4? Who else got -4? Look at that. All right, did anyone get something else? It's okay if you did. All right, so let's work this out. For all of our variables, you do have different ones. Make sure you're putting them in the right place. I would put this in parentheses and then put the square outside of it. If you are doing this by hand, you are applying this to both the numerator and the denominator, so 1 squared and 3 squared. But if you're doing it in the calculator, it will do both. Times the absolute value of y is -14. And then plus the cube root of -125. Doing our grouping first, we have our absolute value, so do what's in there first. So this would give us -9. And then there's nothing else left for us to do except make it positive. So we can drop the absolute value and make this positive. I'm going to also go ahead and do these two at the same time because it's lacking in space. So 1/3 to the second power would become 1/9. And then the cube root of -125 would be -5. Then we can multiply and then subtract. So 1/9 times 9 would give us 1. And 1 minus 5 would give us 9. -4 was the correct answer. If you did get something else, double check all of your steps. You may have missed something. Did we have questions about that one or any others on this page? I know some of you were working on other examples. Nature.
Yeah, so evaluation question number 1. Would you simplify it completely, or just go to where we for 20?
Yes, simplify completely. So put everything in and then start to simplify. Alright. On the review that I gave you guys last class, the one that looks like this, does anyone need another copy of this first? To start looking at the first page. Look at any that you want to go over together, have questions about. Maybe you're not sure how to start. Don't actually start doing all of these if you haven't already. Just look at these and see which ones you want to go through, have questions about, want to go over together on that first page. If there are any, raise your hand, tell me those. So I'm just going to do them as you guys tell me. For 34, the cube of A, notice this does not say cube root of, so this means we're raising something to the third power. So the cube of A, and then we are adding B. So this would be A cubed plus B. Other questions on this page? You may have the same question someone else does, so don't be afraid to ask whatever questions you have. Any other questions on the first page that we see you want to go through, have questions about? I'm going to move on to the second page. Some of you are still on the first, so if you come back or if you see one that you did need help on or want to go over, you can go back to it. On the second page is your modeling stuff, so that's kind of still, it's partially translating, it's partially simplifying, mostly simplifying, but these are different than what we were doing, so if you wanted to change this to just be X and this to be 1, you could do that. If you wanted to leave them as is, you could also do that. Remember that anything that is shaded is a negative. Are there any problems on this page we want to see or go through together? Number 5. Okay. So if we're using the ones I just changed to 2x squared, x, and 1, we have 2x squareds, but they're shaded, so that would be 2 or negative 2x squared. We have one x term that is not shaded, so that would be a positive, so plus x. And then 3 ones that are shaded, so that would be a negative 3. If you were doing it as the x squared, xy, y squared, this part would stay the same. This would be plus xy, and this would be minus 3y squared. So if you were doing it as the model key said, this would be your answer. If you want to change it to what we were doing before, the first one would be your answer. Either or is fine for this. If you see this on the quiz or test, do whatever it says. Do whatever variables it says. Other questions on this page? Go on to the next page. And again, you can change these to be just x, to be just 1. However, This is opposite of what it was before, because before it gave you the drawing and you had to find the polynomial. Now it gives you the polynomial. So if you change this, you have to change these as well. Get rid of the x, or get rid of the y in the middle, and the y squared at the end. And then you would draw it to match. Do you have any questions on this page you want to see or go over? If not, move on to the next page. Questions on that page that we want to see or go over? Or have questions about? Lily?
Are these like combining like terms?
Yep, this is your simplifying combining terms. Okay. The next page is similar, but these get a little bit more complex. Now we're distributing, we have negatives, we have fractions. Any of those we want to see or go over? Lily? 9. So for number 9, remember that if you have a fraction here and the numerator is a 1, you can think about this as dividing instead of multiplying a fraction. So 24 divided by 3 would give me 8x. Negative 18 divided by 3 would give me negative 6y. This is a negative 1/4, so I'm dividing by a negative 4. So this would give me negative 4x. Negative 36 divided by a negative 4 would give me a positive 9y. Then, do we have like terms? Yes, we have x's, we have y's. If you are circling or putting shapes around your terms, make sure you include your signs that come in front of them. So 8x minus 4x would give us 4x. Negative 6y plus 9y would give us a positive 3y. You can't combine those any further, so that would be our final answer. A lot of the time you start off with fractions, you end up not having fractions. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Any others we have questions about or want to go over on this page? I did want to mention a couple things. One, if you are distributing with a negative, remember that there's like a 1 behind it, and that's what you're distributing, a negative 1. And then if you have anything that's dealing with exponents, you are not touching the exponent. You are combining like terms or multiplying to the number in front of the term with the exponent, but I am not making this 4. That 2 does not go to that number. So we're not doing anything with that. Right? Last time, any questions on this page or other questions on this page we want to go through? And then on the next page, you're evaluating. I'll say this or the last page because they're connected. Any of those we want to see go over? And then I know I skipped through the pages kind of quickly. If anyone went back and was having difficulty with anything from the first few pages and want to go back to that, now would be the time to do that. Do you have any other last minute questions before I explain how the quiz is going to work? Okay. 1, on Canvas it said open note quiz. That is not how it's going to work, but it's different. I'm going to explain that here in a second. Instead of using notes, you guys are going to use each other. So you can ask and get help from anyone in the class, people sitting at your desk, people sitting at other desks. You just cannot use your notes. You cannot have your computer open, and you cannot ask any questions. So you guys can use anyone in this room but me to help you on the quiz, but that's not a what did you get for this and you write that down. It's a explain to me how you got this. I'm confused on this. Did you have a strategy? How did you start this? Things like that. Okay? Anyone have questions on how this quiz is going to work? Alright, so clear off your desks except for your calculator. You can use that, just not Desmos. If you need scrap paper, there is some back here.